Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? It is 12:20 p.m. Mountain Time on Monday, December 13th, and pretty crappy time in the market right now for cryptocurrency. So we're going to talk about that. Are we in a bull market? Are we in a bear market? What are we looking at short term? What are we looking at long term? Going to look not so much at altcoins. I do want to share a few news headlines that kind of got my attention, but mainly want to talk about the overall market because right now, as you can see, Bitcoin's going down and everything is coming down with it a little harder. Bitcoin is gaining dominance, so that's usually what happens in these scenarios, is that when Bitcoin comes down, it gains dominance because everything else comes down a little harder. So if you like that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it greatly. Definitely appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel, and everybody who does after this video. Also appreciate the people who watch who haven't subscribed, but I would like you to subscribe because I do have the goal of 1,000 subscribers and going further from there. So it lets me know that the content that I'm putting out is helpful and it is useful to people. So it just validates me in that aspect. So please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it greatly. And also remember that none of this is financial advice. Everything in this video is for information and educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a trader, but I do have my opinions and I do want to share those with you. So let's get into it. Okay, so I want to start this off with a few news headlines. I'll be quick on this, just a few that have caught my eye. This is something that I think everyone is paying attention to. Only 10% of the Bitcoin supply left to mine. Going to take about 150 years to mine the remaining 10. So what's the benefit for miners? Hopefully that there's enough transactions that need confirmation that miners can confirm those transactions to make money on mining. Fresh data shows 90% of the total Bitcoin supply is mined, but the rest will take longer to produce. Something we've already known, like I said, about 150 years, I think. 100 as detailed by Cointelegraph, it'll take 119 years from now to complete the Bitcoin mining process due to the rate of producing new Bitcoin being cut by half every 4 years in predetermined protocol execution, also known as the Bitcoin halving. There will also never be the last Bitcoin mined. It'll be like 20,999,999, but that last one will never, maybe 97, I don't know, because that last one will take, it just never will. It's how the code's set up. And the 21 million is just based off the code. It's not an exact number, but it kind of is an exact number, if that makes any sense. Anyways, moving on. That's kind of exciting. Myanmar shadow government declares stablecoin USDT Tether an official currency. Now, this was interesting, right? Because of all the scrutiny behind USDT and the SEC going after them for not being backed enough by the US dollar per the requirements, the constant minting of new USDT and such, and blah, 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 blah. And they're still not out of the woods yet. So this is interesting, but it is the shadow government, Myanmar's shadow government, and we're going to get into why. So the NUG finance minister, NUG, said Tether would enhance trade speed and payment efficiency. That stands for the National Unity Government, led by the supporters of jailed leader Aung San Suu Kyi, has declared the United States dollar-based stablecoin Tether as an official currency for local use. I think this is a strategy, and they talk about it briefly here. Per a report published in Bloomberg, the NUG will accept Tether for its ongoing fundraising campaigns, seeking to topple the current military regime in Myanmar. The shadow government also raised $9.5 million to the sale of Spring Revolution special treasury bonds offered to the Myanmar diaspora across the world. The group aims to raise $1 billion through the sale of NUG issued bonds. So they're trying to overthrow the military regime right now. So they're using Tether, and all currencies are kind of like plummeting right now. So the US dollar still has use. As you can see, the DXY is rising. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because it's losing value slower than the rest of the world currencies. Moving on, Solana had a couple DDoS hacks. Solana on-chain development increased after a recent DDoS hack. I think it was actually twice it got hacked. Solana's daily GitHub submission has spiked after a recent DDoS hack. Solana, whose native crypto SOL is the 5th largest cryptocurrency by market cap, is leading on-chain development charts despite a recent distributed denial of service attack. As per sentiment data, Solana surpassed the daily GitHub submission rates of Polkadot and Cardano to become the leading blockchain over the past month. The number of daily GitHub submissions for Solana now reached 90 between November 12th and Monday, followed by Polkadot 76 and Cardano 65. So after recent hacks, still growing, still now leading the way. So bullish case for Solana comparatively to the rest of the altcoin market. Not necessarily saying that it's going to go up, but just in comparison to the overall market. And we'll talk about the overall market shortly. You could see we fell out of this consolidation in Solana, and I would fully expect it to test the 200-day moving average. Not seeing any signs of recovery. You can see that's a pretty thick candle. No wicks, just started off and straight drop. So don't see any sign of recovery there just yet. I would expect it to test 200-day moving average. Anyways, moving on. You know that I like the gaming and metaverse sector. That's probably my favorite sector that makes the most sense. Unlocking the potential for NFTs with a new hyper gaming platform, which will be a play-to-earn hyper-casual gaming platform offering crypto rewards. This new platform claims to be the world's first play-to-earn hyper-casual gaming platform that offers rewards. WAM, which it's called, is already a working product available for testing. The project has also attracted an experienced team of investors who are well-versed in the gaming and blockchain sectors behind the project. So one to keep your eyes on. WAM, launched in February 2021 as a public beta. WAM reached more than 2.5 million players in less than 2 months, with 10,000 players tournaments and over 3.5 million players in November 2021. So it's grown in users. After the initial success, the creators decided to create the mobile app, which has already been downloaded more than 180,000 times. So just want to keep your eye on. I'm always looking into gaming and metaverse and trying to see the new things, as well as like what older ones still are going to grow, which we'll also talk about with one of my favorites that I like in the future. But let's get into the overall markets, right? So people watching the S&P 500, pretty close to all-time highs, just about there. Might as well call it an all-time high just because last time it wicked down, and we're about at all-time highs. What I would say to that is, based on the previous Bitcoin price performance, you're watching the wrong chart, right? The chart to watch is DXY, value of the U.S. dollar index, and it's been on a tear since it's double, maybe even call it a triple bottom here around 83. And it's just been going up and up and up. Can see it maybe meeting another resistance around 97.7. So I don't expect it to stop just yet. We will see corrections. Nothing goes straight up or straight down. What does that mean for the price of Bitcoin? I think that we probably fall further. We've already fallen through the 200-day moving average. I was hoping to get this video out before that. Not with any guarantee that it would break through there, but it was looking likely, and it is looking likely. And unless we see a bounce, I think we're heading lower. I do think like short-term bearish is the sentiment. End of year, looking at people cashing out, maybe realizing gains, maybe realizing losses, and then starting fresh in January. We are not looking too strong here. One of the things to look at is, this channel, which is a very clear channel, from low here to low here to low here. When we broke down out of it, we got up to retest it and failed. Not only that, but we had that 53.5-ish to 5,300 support that we didn't even make it up to test. That's a sign of weakness. I will be watching this. I fully expect to break down further. As you know, I've been doing more selling than buying. I haven't really been doing any buying, actually, but a lot of selling. Closed out of a lot of altcoin positions, Solana, Matic, Phantom, Kusama, Polkadot a while ago, Cardano a while ago. I mean, you want to wish that you had sold everything at the top, but Never happens that way. I think I did an okay job, but looking back, I wish I would have sold more. But anyways, moving on, Bitcoin dominance. We know Bitcoin dominance usually moves up when Bitcoin moves down because Bitcoin falls and the rest of the market falls harder. So it becomes a higher percentage of the market. You can see we've also had some, triple bottoms here. So, expecting dominance to go up at least to like the 45, 46 area again, which could mean falling, could mean Bitcoin moving up and nothing else does. When Bitcoin makes its runs, that's usually what happens is Bitcoin goes up and nothing else does. So fully expecting that dominance to move up. We'll see what happens when it gets to the 200-day moving average on it. But usually dominance goes up when Bitcoin goes down, so not a good sign. The other thing that I wanted to go over on Bitcoin was Ichimoku Cloud. I like to use this for long-term bearish bullishness sentiment. You can see back here in May, we dropped out of it and we had this like 3-month bear market. It's looking kind of similar to that right now. We hit an all-time high and then we didn't quite get back up to that all-time high, and we dropped into the cloud and then out of the cloud in a negative manner. So mentioned that when I mentioned that like a week or two ago when this did happen, probably not quite 2 weeks, like a week and a half ago when this did happen. Don't like to see that. It's just Ichimoku Cloud is just a combination of indicators, and I've used it just for long-term sentiment on my part to kind of help gauge any thesis that I might have bullish or bearish. So until we get back into that cloud, I'm really not bullish. It could take a while. I think that Scott McGregor is probably right on the choppiness. Probably chop down actually looking at this through December until the new year, and probably take a little bit after the new year. Might take until people get their tax returns end of January, early February. Some people take a little longer, but that's really where's the extra money going to come from to buy this up? And yeah, large institutions, absolutely, leverage, which we'll talk about also. But moving on, I still think I watch this constantly, this futures to gauge the leverage in the market. Still looks like it can come down a little more. Flushed a ton of it out. We were at an all-time high, but we flushed a ton of it out, but it still looks like it can come down a little more. And the thesis behind that is that you can't have anything run up when there's a lot of potential selling pressure. And when leverage is high, that means people make a lot of money on the way up that they're going to sell into any buying pressure. Can't have that. You got to wipe it out. Anyways, that's all there is to that. Look at the altcoin market caps, including Ethereum. We're coming down to test 200-day moving average. If we don't show any signs of a change, we'll probably break through that 200-day moving average, but watch for the test of it. As you see, we bounced off of it before. Usually it takes 3 times. Each bounce gets lower. If it's 2 times, that's even worse. Not including Ethereum. Altcoin market, we're already testing that 200-day moving average. You've seen Bitcoin break through it. We've seen Bitcoin break through it already, so I'm expecting that to happen to the altcoins as well. So careful out there. We see a lot of bearish stuff, like not holding moving averages, like the altcoin market cap couldn't hold the 50. We had, where is Ethereum? We had Ethereum, recovered the 50 and couldn't hold it. That's a bearish sign. Coming down to test the 200, most likely will. Polkadot couldn't hold the 200. Kusama couldn't even break back above the 200 here after that Bitcoin fall. Couldn't break back above the 50. We failed. Couldn't break back above the 200. These are all bearish signs. Luna, this has been one of the, if not the strongest altcoin, and it has been like gaining against Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was moving down, Luna was moving up. So this is a key test right here, the 50-day moving average, and this is going to be a big sign for altcoins. Luna being one of the stronger performing ones percentage-wise, is what happens when we meet this 50-day moving average. My guess, it comes down. And as I'll always say, if Bitcoin comes down, eventually all the altcoins will too. So watch for that. I would expect it at least to come down to the 200-day moving average. Maybe it meets it around the 38 area where there's a lot of support, the 35 to 38 area where, 200-day moving average would move up to there by the time the price moved down to there. Render, failed breakout. Well, not quite failed yet, but it's looking like it's going to. Broke down below the 50, recovered above it, and sold completely off. Super Farm, same kind of thing. We saw a Coinbase listing, had a nice, was this the day? December 6th? This might not be the day. This might be the announcement, and then the listing, and then sold off, and we did not recover. Testing the 200-day moving average very shortly. We'll see how that holds up. If Bitcoin continues to break down, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that Super Farm also will break down. Lastly, Polygon, tested all-time high, right? Just about, came up just short, and then just broke down, boom, below the 50 hard. Expect the 200-day to test, see what happens there. But you could see, the reason I'm showing you all this isn't to make you panic and say, I want to sell everything, but it's just to give you a gauge of how everything is happening right now. And it's not looking good, at least for the short term. Now, does that mean the sky is falling? Well, maybe for the short term, but you could see these MACD, this is going to take time to rotate over. It's going to have to come down and then come back, work its way back up. Now, there are some positive signs, right? If these signs didn't exist, I'd say yeah, I'm ready to cash out and it's a bear market. Could it come back down into 30,000s? Yes, I think it probably will see 36, 37,000. Have I sold a lot? Yes. Am I holding some still? Yes. Positive signs. Going to give credit to Scott McGregor on this because I generally paying attention to it and haven't been, and he brought this up. The exchange on balances is dropping. That means that people are moving their Bitcoin holdings off the exchange into private wallets. That generally means that people are planning on holding their Bitcoin and not selling it. Now, if you see it start to move back onto exchange, you see this go up, that's when it's time to worry a little bit more. All right, if that happens, because that means that, what other reason would you put your Bitcoin onto the exchange for except to sell it? And this is across all exchanges. So we're seeing lower and lower supply on exchanges. And what happens if there is to be a continued bull run when there's little supply on exchanges? Well, the ask gets thinner and thinner, meaning there's not much Bitcoin on each level of the ask, on each price on the ask, and it's easier to move the price up. It doesn't take as much buying pressure. Also, credit to Scott McGregor on this one I haven't watched at all, but also a sign of positivity is the Purpose Bitcoin ETF holdings are growing. They are buying the crap out of the dip. And they'll probably continue to buy it. And if you remember, how I've said before, is that we can't have an ETF because an ETF needs to be backed by actual Bitcoin, where a futures ETF, which we have, is just you're investing in the price of Bitcoin, all right? Where an ETF is actually backed by actual Bitcoin. So this is a good sign, right? This means there's probably confidence, or at least this is what they have to do to give confidence to pass an ETF, is to hold on to enough Bitcoin to support a Bitcoin ETF. So that's a good sign. So two good signs right there. Lastly, just one that I watch is the net unrealized profit and loss, meaning what profits do people have that they haven't sold and realized as actual realized profits. And we never got into the greed zone, which is the blue. And I think what happened in May, and I've mentioned this before, is that people were really paying attention to this chart. And what people wanted to probably do is beat everybody to the punch. They didn't want to be a part of the flush out, right? They wanted to sell before it tanked. So they wanted to sell before it got into the greed area. Because I think everybody was pretty much expecting it to go into the blue and then sell off, because it does every time it goes into the blue. Didn't quite make it that high. A little bit of weakness there, but looking like this is coming down. So not having gone into the blue is a good thing. It's not really something that's the bull cycle has to go into the blue. It doesn't say that, but it is a good sign that we're not selling off from there. Didn't see any type of blow off top. Didn't see any type of exhaustion gap, anything like that. The only other thing that you can see back here is like a double top, and I've seen this a few times in different things. The one that comes to mind is NIO, N-I-O, the Chinese electric vehicles. It came up a little higher than its previous all-time high and then sold down below $2 when it was at like 1064 or something like that. Little double top with a lower high right here. That's where we first saw weakness. Lastly, we're talking about like Purpose ETF adding their Bitcoin. MicroStrategy still adding Bitcoin. Another sign. Not that this is like a guarantee that they're going to make money on it and make a ton of money on it, but they did buy more, another 82.4 million at an average of 57,000, and where we're at like 46 now and falling. So again, this isn't to make you panic but I do see long-term bullish, short-term bearish. I do see us going lower. Have I been wrong before? Yes. But right now I'm willing to pay a little bit higher to take off the risk of the potential downside, should I be wrong. Anyways, I do think that right now is the time to be, risk off. It's probably going to last the rest of the month. And I think that, we do see lower, and it's time to be like staying on the sidelines and eyeing up, like researching what will you be buying if the market turns back bullish. One of the things that I'm eyeing up is Splinterlands. It's one game that I do actually play. I did a small live stream of opening some packs. I have opened some other packs since then. Going down, and as long as Bitcoin goes down, it's going to go down further. Probably eyeing it, around this like 20-cent area, if that even holds, because if Bitcoin comes down to 36, you might even see it come down further. I don't know, maybe not. But this is one that I'm eyeing. It's one of the projects that I like, mainly because a few reasons. Number one, here's the exchanges that it's listed on. It's not even on Binance yet. It's not even on Coinbase yet. It's not on any of the major exchanges, and it is the number one game per user. Like, there's more users that play this game. This is from dapradar.com. And I know that like I've been talking a lot on Telegram with some guys, some of the team, and they got a lot of things coming up. Partnering with Zen Sports to kick off a year-long tournament, land expansion, and then when that land expansion happens, it's not just a card game anymore. Splinterlands will be well beyond a card game. So they're going towards that like metaverse, where this will be one of the games in the metaverse. The land is a big part of that, and the storyline will affect players' decisions with their land. And you're going to need the landowners, which are not selling more land, but there will be land that like people that own, who bought when Splinterlands initially released land for sale. They can put it up for sale. And there's going to need to be like rented out. They're going to need to rent like cards, NFTs from players to do whatever with their lands, to like resource their lands or whatever. It's not clear yet, but there's going to be additions to this, and partnerships, and tournaments. So kind of cool. Price is falling. The one thing I don't like about it is the dilution of the price. You got staking and you got airdrops. Airdrops are another 200 days, so there's constant increase in supply. That's happening because SPS will be the governance token, so like those holders will be allowed to vote in decision making and stuff like that. So that's coming up as well. Governance will be a big thing for Splinterlands. Anyways, not going to get too far into altcoins. That's the one I wanted to mention that I am keeping my eye on to target. Also, you saw WAM, one to look into. You know that IMX, also one I could probably go over, that broke support. One that I'm really big on. You can see like we fell through support, from back here and from right here, and I mean, it's an if this then that. If it reached $3 to $3.20, I would watch it closely to potentially place a buy order there. So gaming and metaverse are the ones that I'm eyeing. I think it makes the most sense, and it can be pretty big in crypto. Already has been, and I think it'll continue to be. I mean, we had a FANG stock rename Meta. Facebook is now Meta, to focus on metaverse and gaming. That's how big it's going to be, in my opinion. So anyways, just wanted to go over all that, share my short-term bearish sentiment, which I think you've already known that I've had as I've been doing some selling. I have made ads to some things that have been stopped out. So trying to, risk off, minimize losses, and, kind of hold cash or stable coins to try and get back in when it's time to make gains on the long side again, if that comes. So give you some things to watch, give you some examples of like the market and why we are, looking, we have failed breakouts, failure to hold moving averages. So all negative signs, and at least for the short term, could probably see like another couple months for all I know. Bitcoin has always moved in cycles. Once the bull market's over, it becomes extremely bearish for a couple of years. Not quite convinced that we're there yet, just because of all the large buying still. I mean, these institutions that have multiple billions of dollars, if they put a few $1 billion in and they lose a little bit, it's not a big deal. I know it's gonna, if they know it's gonna go back up, and they still have all these billions on the side. Anyways, I don't want to ramble too much, but just wanted to share that with you. Again, not a time to panic. Long-term bullish, short-term bearish. That could always change. If you like today's video, hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Again, I appreciate that so greatly, and I will see you next time. Bye.